No, Miles. Oh, hi. Sorry, taking a nap. Had this. Anyway, I saw Across the Spider-Verse the other day. I wanted to take some time to gather my thoughts in a big web so I could discuss this movie with you guys and what a movie it was. So, of course, big fan of the first film. Really never saw anything like that before. Great eye candy, great story. I didn't know too much about Miles' story or Gwen. You know, all those characters have been kind of in my periphery. I haven't read too many of the comics around those characters, so this was the first movie was a great launching off point to get to know who those characters were. This movie is such a perfect sequel to that. I really enjoyed this movie. It took what it set up and what it did in the first one and blew it out of the water, I thought, without losing the thread, if you know what I mean. It was still very much a story about Miles Morales, his family, his friendships, or his friend, or, you know, things are complicated in his world, and they get a whole lot more complicated with every Spider-Man in the Spideyverse having their own opinions about who Miles is and what he should be doing with his life and with his power. So we start with Miles doing Spider-Man things. He's trying to get ready for school, possibly going on to college, and seems like he's not really in the zone, but focused on that stuff. He really is focused on being the best Spider-Man he could, and he encounters this clumsy villain named Spot, who, you know, has very whimsical kind of powers, and he just throws spots everywhere, and his, you know, limbs and stuff falling through. Anyway, that leads him to a chase, which leads to this villain finding out something about themselves, which is interesting. You know, there's a lot of parallels with Spot and Miles and the directions they choose to take, and things branch off even from there. So Miles is feeling a little alone. He's feeling like he doesn't really have anybody to look up to or even talk to at this point. Gwen is in her own universe, you know, and she joins kind of the Spider Squad pretty early in the movie. But Miles, you know, he hasn't really told his parents yet. He doesn't really have any close friends. Peter Parker is off doing his thing too. Nobody's really coming to talk to him after all these years. So he's feeling a little alone. He's feeling like he wants to be a great Spider-Man, but, you know, he doesn't really have anybody he's close to, which is starting to be a problem for him. And his parents are very concerned. And then this whole anomaly thing happens, and we get like the Vulture from a Da Vinci drawing universe, and that sequence is awesome. And, you know, they're fighting in the Guggenheim, and I wish, you know, that could go on forever. It was just so much fun. And then you have Spider-Man 2099 coming in. Gwen is there, and they couldn't really handle it. So that begins kind of the whole thing. And then Gwen is dealing with the death of Peter Parker in her universe, who she was very close to, and her dad's also a police officer, and their relationship is very, very fractured because of the death of Peter Parker in her universe, and they think Spider-Gwen did. It's very complicated and sad, and there's a lot of grief in this movie too. This has to be one of the best written, I would say, superhero movies of the last decade. We've had some good ones, then we've had a lot of not so good ones, and I think besides the first one, this kind of knocks it out of the water in terms of writing, in terms of gravity, in terms of stakes for the characters. I was blown away, and even just the art, the direction of this film, it kind of nails it in every possible way. I was hard pressed to find flaws with this new Spider-Man movie, and I really can't wait to see the new one. I mean, Miles' story along with all these Spider-Man. And I was worried that, this multiverse stuff, I feel like Marvel MCU kind of didn't really nail it. It didn't feel as it could have. It didn't feel as good as it did in this movie, besides No Way Home, which was another Spider-Man Sony movie. And that movie felt like it did multiverse very well. It had character stories while playing with the multiverse rules and giving them a reason to be where they are. Across the Spider-Verse, sure, has tons of cameos, has tons of little references. I love Donald Glover's Prowler. It did a lot, but it was very good about focusing on a couple key characters that would drive the story and it gave each of them some kind of weight, which is important to tell an emotional story, or a good story, one that sits with people. And from the beginning of this movie until the very end, that emotional story just gets bigger and the stakes get bigger, and it starts feeling really claustrophobic and stressful. There's a lot of tension, and I'm a big fan of building tension until the audience can't take it anymore. And I think they achieved that with this movie. There were people crying, there were people clapping, laughing at the screening I went to. And you don't really get that in almost any other world except when you watch Marvel movies. So be that what it may. I don't want to make this review too long. I'm just very impressed with the work the Across the Spider-Verse team did. Again, this movie, it feels a little bit more like it. This movie feels like it transcends that superhero genre a little bit. It feels like a movie I will go back to in the future over and over again, where a lot of these other kind of superhero films of this age, I feel like they're just gonna kind of, float away or dissolve with time. But the Across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse movies, they're gonna stick around. No pun intended, but I think they're fantastic films, and I'm very happy with it, and I'm very excited to see where these movies go. I really don't know how they're going to take them and in what direction, but I trust these guys know what they're doing. This team knows what they're doing, and they do it very, very well. So I'm gonna leave it there. I didn't want to get into too much of the plot stuff. I'm just very happy with this movie. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Did you love this movie? Did you not? Are you excited for the next one? What were your problems with it? What did you like the most about it? Let me know in the comments below. And subscribe if you're new to the channel. Would love to have you around. And see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.